Hi, Sean Hess here with Hess Motorsports, and we're sitting in the shop, sitting underneath a Yamaha YXZ1000 UTV. We're here to show you, or tell you about our new product, the Flywheel weight, counterweight for the Yamaha. We're going to also do an install video, but first I want to tell you a little bit about it. As you can see, this is a bolt-on application with two halves to add weight to the flywheel. It's much easier to install than replacing the entire flywheel. In fact, you can remove this product in about 20 minutes real easy at the track if you had different riding conditions, you wanted it or didn't want it on there. But one thing, let me tell you a little bit why we developed this. Flywheel weights are great to help prevent engine stalling. A lot of guys, you first get in the car trying to ease the clutch out in gear and the car just and dies. Well, this is one of the solutions to help with that. It also puts the power to the ground, so it helps eliminate wheel spin quite as much. So you come out of a corner, say your Yamaha comes out of the corner now, and the power band kicks in and it just blows the tires off. I compare it a lot to like a two-stroke, if you've got any familiarization with a two-stroke. You come out of the corner in a two-stroke, the power band hits and just blows the tires off and it spins everywhere. Well, the Yamaha is a lot like the same thing. We noticed that thing right off the bat. This thing is notorious for that. You come out of the corner, it just blows the tires off, and you're just spinning everywhere, and it kind of gets out of control, and you're trying to maintain control. And if you're spinning, you're actually losing ground, especially if you're in a race situation. You're losing ground on your competition. So we want to maximize the wheel power transfer going to the ground, so it propels the vehicle forward. One way to do that is with the flywheel weight. This flywheel is very easy to install. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. It's made out of 304 stainless steel, so it's not going to rust or give you any problems. You'll notice that it's two halves, and that aids in the install, so we can come from each side of it and get around that drive line and add the weight. We're going to add 3.5 to 4 pounds of weight with everything that we're adding. From our testing, this is the right amount of weight to properly get what we need done and not be too much or too little. So we're going to go ahead and install this and show you guys what it's all about. Feel free to chime in if you've got questions. I'll do my best to answer all of them. But here we go. So you're going to take half the plate, and we've already removed the skid plate and we've got the car hoisted in the air. You can do this on the ground. Put your rear end on jack stands and just loosen your skid plate and fold it out of the way. We've already done that, but it's hard to film that, so we're going to show you like this. So you're going to take half your plate, and our weight goes on the back side of the flywheel or closest to the motor, and it fits up into these holes right here and snaps on there. And then you're going to take an M10 125 bolt with some Loctite. And Loctite's your friend in any kind of off-road application. It doesn't take much, just a little blue Loctite works very well. And you're going to start threading that through. And what we're doing here, the kit comes with these bolts, and the part is threaded, but it's also got nuts. And the nuts are a lock nut, so you've got Loctite and a double lock situation that keeps the part from coming off. One thing, after you get these started up in there, you'll notice that your shroud that goes around this flywheel weight from factory, they can be close. On some models we've noticed that it's closer than others. You can take a pry bar or a screwdriver and tweak it just a little bit to give you clearance for the bolt heads. If you put it on and you start riding and you hear a little bit of rubbing or anything, you just need a little bit more clearance on there, and that'll solve that issue. And I've already put clearance on this one to clear these bolts, but I can show you how to do it. But I've already put a little bit in for this application. Now, you also may want a screwdriver or a pry bar to move the U-joint around, just depend upon getting so you can get all the pieces in there. Let me get up over here, all the bolts in there, excuse me. You can just kind of twist it. Oops, drop that. Let's have this other pry bar. I actually like a lineup bar better. It seems to work the best. And you can just kind of go up in any of these spots and get it moved over for you. Doesn't take a whole lot. There we go. And it allows you to get the bolts in where you need to, kind of back and forth. And what I do is I get all 3 bolts started. And then I'll take I've got a cordless impact with a 14mm socket, and I'll tighten them up, or you can use a hand ratchet, it's fine either way. I've actually was able to run these all the way down with no issues. I'm just gonna take my 3/8 impact with a 14mm socket, just give that a good snugging. I'm gonna rotate it back around a little bit so I can get to this other one over here. Okay, now while I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and put my jam nut on the back side. And again, put a little bit of Loctite on this. We sent flange nuts with it, and these are 15mm. And you know, in this situation, Loctite's your friend. Just take that nut and thread it down on there. We didn't send lock nuts because it's actually a little easier on you to install without the lock nut, but just be sure you put Loctite on it. This is a jam nut situation, so the part's already tight, but these are just basically a backup so that it can't come off. It's a very simple install. The biggest thing you want to do is just make sure you've got the vehicle supported good while you're underneath it, you know, with some jack stands. And it's nice to have a helper, you know. I mean, if you can have a buddy hand you your stuff while you're underneath the car. That just makes things even easier for you. It's also a little safer just in case something was to happen. Okay, I've got those locked down, I've got them ran down. Now you're gonna wanna grab a wrench and a ratchet, and you're gonna wanna hold a backup on this because you're jamming this down. I've got a little swivel head ratchet here, and I'm just gonna put it on there to jam it. Get up on there. Okay. Oh, my bar slipped my ratchet right in there. Now, in this instance here, while you're tightening this, you're going to want to hold the head of the bolt on the front side as well, and just give them a good snugging. Just work that a little bit. And go up and just get all 3 of those done at the same time here while you're here, and we'll rotate this around and put our stuff on the other side. Okay, let me rotate that around a little bit. That actually looks pretty good. Okay. All right, let me get this other one here. A little bit tight quarters with a sway bar link in the way here, but it's not too bad. The good news is it's really hard to lose it with the jam nut and the Loctite, and it threaded into both applications. Now, once you've got that tight, you can actually use your ratchet and kind of help you turn it up around the car to get to the other side. Alright, I have to go the rest of the way with the pry bar. Again, I'm using the pry bar here just to turn my U-joints, and you can get in the top one or the bottom one, whatever works the best for you in the situation. Let's see if I can't get up in here and move that a little bit. Alright, I'll take my other half and I'll place it up there. And one thing you want to make sure that there's no mud or any debris on this while you're doing this. There's a little bit of dirt right here. The other side was clean, but I'll scrub that off. Okay. So we're going to put this plate up on here as well, just like we did on the other side. And you'll kind of feel it snug down and seat in. And you're going to repeat just like you did with your 10mm 125 threaded bolt. Apply Loctite and thread it into your part. Repeat that on the other 2 bolts as well. This is significantly faster than trying to remove the drive shaft and everything to install a complete flywheel. If you was replacing this, that's one reason we wanted to do it this way. Let's just make it a little bit easier on everybody for the initial install. It's also reversible real easy. You know, if you wanted to change it, or maybe you didn't want it for a certain type of track. I know this setup, if you're going to, say you're going to ride in the mountains or something, you know, where you have a horsepower loss due to altitude, this setup, you know, you could take it off real easy for altitude deal. You know, if you're going up 10,000 feet, you're losing about 20% of your horsepower. So you may not want a weighted flywheel on in that instance. So it'd just be real easy to take it off and is reversible without any issue. But we've had really good luck with it thus far, and we're really happy with the way the kit turned out. Michael, you hand me a drink of that water? Sure is hot down here. We're gonna put the nuts on here, and again, we're gonna use Loctite. Let's have those nuts. Okay. These are M10 125 flange nuts that have a 15mm head on them. So you'll need a 15mm wrench or socket to tighten them. In this instance, I prefer the wrench. Be sure you're putting Loctite on there. I recommend blue, medium strength. You can put red on there, but it sure makes things a lot harder to get back apart if you want to take it off or change it or whatever you want to do. It just makes things a lot more difficult. So I would recommend going with the blue in this instance, because this is just a jam nut situation. I mean, the part's already threaded and tightened down with the bolt. So all you're doing here is just jamming it down. And since I've got that one rotate, I'm going to go ahead and tighten these two since they're right here easy to get to, and then I'll rotate it back around and get to the one, just because I've got them right here handy. Okay. And again, you're going to want to hold your back up. What that backup's doing is just keeping you from spinning the motor over, basically. Okay, I'm going to get this next one while I'm right here easy to get to, and then I'll bring it back around and get that last one. Bring it a little bit further over. You notice I'm using the ratchet to rotate it around there. Actually works pretty well. It's actually a little easier than your pry bar. Okay, I'm gonna bring it back down and catch that last one, just because I had it a little bit too far up in the out of the way when I spun it around already. Bring it back around here and catch it. Okay. Again, make sure you put Loctite on it. If you've got any questions, just let us know. We'll do our best to answer them. All right, real simple. Put the nut on there. We're gonna jam it back down. And that's it. I mean, that's all you do to install this product on your car. Now, obviously, you'll put the car back down and you'll put your skid plate back up, and it'll be ready to go. Again, we did this on a hoist scenario at your house. Obviously, not everybody has access to a hoist, but it was easier to film this way. Use a jack with jack stands, jack the car up. You can take the whole skid plate off, or in this instance, I just kind of minced out of the way. You can put this on. We've put them on cars with jack stands in about 15 to 20 minutes. And like I said, the good thing about this is it's basically tunable. You can tune it per riding condition. So if you're going high up in elevation where you're going to lose 20% of your horsepower, well, take the weight off and let the car wrap more. This setup works great, and we race short course, cross country. It helps the car when it comes out of the corner really put the power to the ground instead of just blowing the tires off. It propels the car forward instead of just spinning. And the other thing, it makes the car a lot harder to stall, and which is good. So if you're doing your low speed playing in the woods or even rock crawling or hill climbing, it just gives the car what I call a lot more tractor power. So it just lugs and just wants to go. But we've been super happy with it. We've played around with different weights, and this combination is what we've found worked the best for us, and we've been super happy with it. So be sure you check us out on the website. This product will be going up pretty quick.